what's going on, guys? Welcome back. Today we are doing our home lab, right? So we're actually doing today is we're going to add our Nessus scanner. Now, the reason I want you guys to see me add this Nessus scanner, I know I did a video on Nessus a long time ago, is because one, we're going to actually install it and then run different scans, which is not something we set up in the last video. Two is I want you to see how you have to actually join the domain and all of that stuff. So let's go ahead and get into it. Before we get started, guys, hit that like button, hit that sub button. I appreciate it a ton. Let's go ahead and get started. So here you can see we have our DC. This is our domain controller. It's sitting here. Then we have our Nessus, and you can see these Ubuntu and the Windows Server no UI. I added that. These are just clones, meaning, or I mean templates, meaning I can just clone VMs from them. I can't start them or anything like that. So we're on the Nessus. I named it Nessus. You can name it Tenable, whatever you want. And then I actually downloaded Nessus over here, right? So we have our constructions over here for how to join a computer to a domain. This is based on Microsoft documentation. So I'll put that in the link below for you. And then we have our downloadable for Nessus, right? So this is going to go in stages. I'm going to join the domain. Then the computer's going to have to restart. So I'll stop the video. Then you'll come back and we'll do it that way. Then the install for Nessus, I'll walk you through it, and then while it's installing, I'll stop the video, etc. Mainly, the reason I even point that out is because if you guys watch most of my videos, I actually don't. I cut if there's something that's taking forever or something like that, but I don't ever like stop the recording. So here we go. So first thing, computer name, change settings. So we're under control panel, system security, and system, right? So you open up control panel, go to systems and security, and then go to system, change setting. We're gonna name this our Nessus scanner. And then one thing I would point out too, and we'll go ahead and do this afterwards, is we'll go to DC01 and I'll show you guys real quick. I created a service account for this. So this is what I've talked about in the past with service accounts. I created a special account specifically to run this Nessus scanner that has no other purpose. And we'll slowly get to it, but while that's loading, we'll go back here. Okay, so computer description, you don't have to put this, but I'm going to put Nessus scanner, and then I'm going to change this to rename the computer and change its domain or work group, right? Computer, I want to name Nessus, so we're going to name it production Nessus, right? That's going to be my naming convention. Anything in production is going to be called production, then the scan or the thing. Now we're going to say member of domain. We're going to say domain. Okay, and here's where you're going to have a little bit of a problem, because if you look, if we go back, not a problem, but you'll see what I mean. So first we got to open up Active Directory users and computers. And what we're going to do is I'm going to show you the account so that you can see that it links up when I actually use this, right? So we're gonna say active maybe. And one thing, by the way, is when we're actually doing the install, you'll notice I won't be using Proxmox. I'll actually be RDPing into the machine most likely. I haven't decided for sure if I'm gonna do that, but that'll probably be how I do it, just to make it a little bit more efficient. Mainly because I also want to make sure that I'm validating that I can log in with that credential and all that stuff too. Come on, it autofilled for me. There we go. And you can see the server's still starting up. Okay, so while that's starting up, I don't even remember, did we name our domain controller, or not our domain controller, did we name our domain Stuffy Corp, or was it Stuffy? I can't remember, because we stood up two different domain controllers during the videos. Okay, we can close that. You can keep that closed. So it's stuffy.com. Okay, so whoops, I want to show you guys the account. So you can see under Stuffy Corp, we've added service accounts, and if you click in here, there's one. It's the Nessus service account. Okay, so we've added that in there, and every time you have a new service you're going to start, that's what you need to do. So we're going to say stuffy.com, and then there we go. NetBIOS, the name is limited to 15 bytes. Okay, yep. So, well, I'll change it. Maybe I'll change it. It froze on me. So basically what it's saying is that production Nessus is too, okay, thanks. It's too long. So we'll just name it Nessus prod. Okay, and then stuffy.com. We'll see if it can actually, I have not set an IP here, by the way. So I may need to set an IP for the, I don't know what IP this Nessus machine got. Okay. An Active Directory domain controller for the domain. So ensure that domain name is typed correctly. If the name is correct, click details for troubleshooting. Okay, let's click details. And I did say stuffy.com, right? Yep. It could be the capital, but Windows is not case sensitive, so it should be fine. Okay, that's why. Yeah, the following error occurred when a DNS was queried for the service location, resource located, used to locate an Active Directory. So it's because we have not stood up DNS. Perfect. Let's go stand up DNS, right? This DNS server used by this computer for name resolution are not responding. This computer is configured to use DNS with the service with the following IP 192.168.0.1. That's not the correct DNS server that we want to use. So let's change the DNS server, right? The DNS server we actually want to use is, what is the IP of this? I actually don't remember the IP because we set it at a static, I think. But don't quote me on that. We will set this at static if we haven't yet. Okay, let's check out the IP. Maybe. There we go. Okay. Okay, I'm typing. Oops. Why is this not responding? It's not doing anything I want. All right. And this is where we had to configure the DNS from before, actually. That's what, in Active Directory, we need to make this a DNS server and then point to it, right? So, which is fine. We just need to set up the DNS server. All right. I know we installed the DNS features, so we'll go to server manager. I don't know what's going on with PowerShell. It's just not responding. But we'll go to server manager. We'll start configuring the DNS, get it set up. We'll figure that out later. And then we'll have to actually take this DCL1 and configure it to point DNS to this server here. Because otherwise it's not going to do anything. Okay, so it's 192.168.0.101, which is perfectly fine. Let's go back. Let's add the features, which it should already have this feature. Okay. So it's 101, which is fine. We can go here and we can say okay. And then go to, see if we can search it directly. Let's see if we can search it. I don't want to configure our proxy server, but we couldn't search it directly, which is fine. Go back here, device manager. maybe. Man, this thing's going slow this morning, huh? See if this ever did anything. There we go. DNS, okay. We should really only have one DNS entry right now. Performance counter's not started, that's fine. Whoops. Okay, so it is actually running, which is good. Perfect. It is running, so we just got to point it to here, which is 101. Okay, now we go to actually, you know what we need to do? We need to do this correctly. We need to add DNS to GPO. We just need to know that where it's at. Okay, so it's computer configuration, policies, Windows settings. Perfect. So let's go back here. Let's go to GP edit. And we're just going to edit our default domain policy, which we need to do in the long run, but we need to edit our default domain policy to actually point here. While that's loading because it's taking forever, we're going to actually go to our Ethernet, not device manager, go back to control panel, go to network and internet, go to network and sharing. Go to Ethernet. I wanted to change adapter settings. There we go, same thing. Details, okay. Let's go to properties. So one thing, you don't have to do this, but I take off IPv6 every time. You don't have to do that. I do it because there's no point. I'm not going to put IPv6 inside my layer or inside my network. So that's one thing I wanted to show you guys. I do turn that off and then go here, properties. Okay, obtain an IP address automatically. Sure. Use the following DNS server. Now the one we're going to use is 192.168.0, or what was it? .101. How did I already forget it? .0.101. Okay. .0.101. And then the alternate, there is no alternate. We're going to keep that same one. Okay, so there we go. So now we should be closed. We should be good to go. Now when this searches, it should find it. And there we go. See how it popped up? So now it's going to ask us to join the domain. What do you want? Well, I have that admin account named Stuffy. That's the account I'm going to use to join the domain. Now you may say, why aren't you using the service account here? You could, nothing wrong with it, but usually you need an admin account that can do this, and there's no, this account doesn't link it forever, or there's no service running on it or anything like that, so it's not going to matter. And then later, I'll link this if you guys want, but go into your GPO and change the GPO policy to add that DNS server. So that way, every time a computer, and you can see, welcome to the stuffy.com domain. And then that way, every time a computer joins your, like plugs into your network or something, it's automatically going to be configured to do that. But keep in mind, that's not going to configure until, it'll never configure until the actual, okay, we're going to go ahead and restart. Okay, apply, restart now. So it'll never actually apply that until you join the domain. None of your GPOs or anything get applied till you join the domain. So keep that in mind, that if you have a standalone computer that you're joining the domain later, it's not going to point that. Okay guys, welcome back. So the reason I cut it is because it was taking me forever to get this all set up, because I refuse to have my network online, meaning it's got no access to any internet anywhere. So I had to download Nessus. I had to then go through Nessus and actually create an ISO file so that I could mount it to the CD drive, so that then I can actually open Nessus installer. You didn't have to do all that. If you guys are connected to the network, or to the internet, you could just download it from Nessus, but mine's completely offline. Nothing is online. So here's our Nessus installer. We're going to go ahead and start it up and get started. I am logged in with the Nessus service account. You do not have to log in with the Nessus service account, just FYI. You can log in with whatever account you want that has permissions to install. So we're going to go ahead and install this. If you see cuts, it's just because it's taking forever. I'm not going to make you guys sit here like this preparing to install. If it takes 10 minutes, I'm just going to cut the video. And so this video is going to be, this is pretty much going to be pretty common with the home lab videos. They're going to be cut up quite a bit, and it's just because there's so much time in between tasks. I'm not going to have you guys sit here and watch it. But yeah, so one thing, I did download this any tool ISO, any 2 ISO, right? I did use this to make an ISO file, and that was a recommendation on Proxmox forums, where somebody said that's the easiest way to get a file over to it. And it turns out it actually is. It was very easy. I converted the Nessus file to an ISO, upload it, very simple. So I was actually pretty happy with that result, pretty easy. And now I have it sitting in here, and I have Nessus on here as an ISO file, so I can actually install it on any server I want in the future also. All right, now if this thing loads up, we'll get this installed and we'll start scanning. Now keep in mind, the free version of Nessus does only allow, I think, 16 IPs to be scanned. So we will set up 16 IPs, but in reality, we in a real environment, we'd want a lot more than that. So we need the paid version. We're only gonna do 16. All right, and we'll let this install. Okay, you guys may run into this, and this is not uncommon. You need to use your domain admin account to actually install, and that's because we have it locked down. And depending on how you guys have yours set up, you may not have it locked down, but I have it locked down so people can't install stuff without admin permissions. So you have to use your domain admin account to actually log in. If you have a special account, or I say special, if you have a separate account that you have permissions, you've added GPOs that allow that, then use that account. Whatever account works for you, but make sure you use the proper account, because otherwise you're just gonna get a permission denied, and then it's not gonna allow you to. Okay guys, welcome back. So this one took me a while to figure out, because long story short, if this happens to you, just wait time. I was getting impatient, so that's why this video is actually a little bit later than I wanted it to be. But basically, here is the Nessus screen once we installed it, right? You'll notice it's opening Chrome. Chrome was not on this server. I had to install Chrome on the server, which means I had to go turn it into an ISO file, upload it, do the whole works to get it here, because I have a completely offline lab. The other problem was, what was happening was I couldn't see what was going on with Nessus on Internet Explorer. It just wasn't showing anything. But what it was Nessus was initializing, and that can take up to an hour. And I was not waiting an hour because I thought, oh, it's just not coming up. So it did take a while. So keep that in mind. So I'm going to register offline. Again, it's all up to you how you're doing this. If you're registering online, offline, whatever. I'm registering everything offline, which means for me, I will have to actually go through and update the plugins manually if I want to add new plugins for Nessus scans. Okay. So now Nessus Essentials, the free version. Okay, this is what I want. I want it for free version. This is enterprise solution, de facto industry standard for security practitioners. Okay, and we just want the essentials, right? And then actually go back. What's the manage scanner? Okay, that's just it. Okay. So now here, to get a license key, visit the offline registration site and enter the following code. So I need to go do this. So give me 1 second, guys. All right, welcome back. So I went back and got the license file. I did follow the steps. They give you the steps. Here we go. So you can see you visit the offline registration. Just go there, follow the steps. You just have to get put this code in and then put the your customer ID or your enterprise ID, which when you register, you get that. So now all I have to do is take my license, which I should be able to just copy and paste it here. And then we should have, so you can see my license. We'll go ahead and paste it. Should be good. All right, now we're going to use our username and password. We're just going to use Stuffy. All right, and we should have a regular account now. Now, I will tell you, if you're doing the online, when I say online, if you're not doing a complete offline setup, it's a little bit easier because you don't need to go and get the license and transfer it over and all that stuff. But I did have to do that because I'm keeping everything offline. So as you can see, when you keep everything offline, it usually kind of makes it a little bit more difficult, but that's all right. We'll go ahead and wait for this to initialize, and then if it takes 45 minutes again, we'll come back. If it doesn't, then we'll just go ahead and go right into it. All right, finally, we have our Nessus scanner up. So here's the scanner. Everything's good. You can see it has no plugins, all that stuff. If you're doing it like me offline, all of that has to be added later. Okay. So what I mean by later is you have to do it manually. So we'll make this full screen so that we can actually see a little bit better. But we're going to start setting up our scans. Now, I'm not going to set up all my scans and everything because your environment's going to look different than my environment, right? You shouldn't be just copying my exact environment. You should be making an environment that you want, right? Your rules should be different. Your passwords, your service accounts, all that stuff should be different. So I'm going to set up a scan for mine, which is right now, currently, the only environment I want. The only two things I have are my Nessus scanner, which is a server, and my actual domain controller, right? So we want to set that up. So we're going to say new scan. If it'll work. Okay, it is working. Let me refresh the website here. It was sitting here for a while. And we're going to create a new scan. And when we create a new scan, keep in mind there's a couple different, we get limited functionality. Are you saying that I can't do scans? Is that the functionality that's not there? let's see. New folder. Okay, we'll name this Stuffy Corp because that's the name of our thing. Okay, we added a new folder. There's Stuffy Corp. Why can we not create a new scan though? That's the only thing that's interesting. Why can we not create? Let's go to settings. Okay, so upgrade to, so you can see my license expires in 2029. Upgrade to professional or expert in order to get it work. Plugin set, so I'll have to actually download the plugins. That's probably why the scans won't work. Super easy. Go on Nessus website, download the plugins. Very easy. What we're going to do there is we're going to download the plugins, and the plugins are what actually it's looking for. It's the KBs and all that stuff for what it's actually looking for, which is probably why I can't run a scan. I was hoping to be able to still run like a like discovery scan or something so that I could show you guys, but apparently I can't. So let's go through and see if we can do anything. Okay, user interface. Nothing crazy here. All right, so yeah, it's looking for the plugins, which is fine. Check out the scanner health, and there probably won't be anything, but we're good now that you have this up. Okay, so you see there's slow DNS lookups, which is fine. I'm not surprised by any of this. Host being scanned, nothing. Okay, cool. So keep in mind, you'll have to download the plugins if you don't have them. Okay. Keyword, if you don't have them. If you're connected to the internet at all, you can download the plugins. Or I mean, you can just do the plugins. I'm gonna have to add the plugins manually, which I should just be able to go to settings, go to maybe advanced. Oh, wait, go back to that. It might be a plugin detail. Enable local plugins, and then I can just tell it which plugins, right? And then there you go. Okay, so we'll get the plugins put in, all that stuff, and then set up scans. Again, I only have 2 systems. I'm going to set up a scan for both systems, a credentialed scan, meaning I'm going to use the service account that I created to allow it to log into the machine and scan, and then I'm going to create one for just discovery of my network. If you guys want more detail on that, let me know. I can make a video on that, but I've done Nessus videos before, and I've also talked about scanners before. I just did an OpenBoss video not too long ago. Scanners are pretty simple. I mean, you set up the scan, you tell it what system you want to do, and blah, blah. But getting this set up on your network allows you now to be running scans to make sure your systems are updating. So this is really big. You need to have this going. This will also allow you to see what you're vulnerable to as you open things up. Keep in mind, there's certain things like when we get further in, I'm going to put like DVWA and Mutilidae and stuff like that. Some of those things in the network, I'm not going to set the scanner up for them because they're intentionally vulnerable. And I don't want my scanner just to be reporting every week that, hey, you have this super vulnerable server. I get it. I know it is. So just keep that in mind. But hopefully you guys like the video. Hopefully you guys helps you get set up. Helps you guys get this going on your server. And keep in mind also, I'm going to be using this server not just for Nessus. We're going to be probably using this server for other stuff too. So we'll kind of play it by ear and keep building. So let me know in the comments below what you guys want to keep seeing built. But I want to make sure we get a security posture set up before we start diving too deep into the web penetration testing, infrastructure hacking, any of that stuff. So thanks, guys. Hope you guys have a great day.